Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to another session on polity and constitution. I hope I am audible as well as visible. Let's wait for those to join and then we'll begin our discussion for the day. Aditya, please answer. Answer what? What's your question? Rahul, the class is still 8, 12 to 8. There are two classes running parallelly. Parallel for the weekend batch? There is only one weekend batch going on. That is for polity. The other weekend batch is for, I think, ancient India, medieval India, and stuff, right? Economics class is not a weekend batch, it's a weekday batch. It's not your batch, don't worry. It's a weekday batch. Rahul, no. This class started before the weekday batch, so we have moved far ahead, right? It is not going to cover what was taught in the previous weekday. In fact, what is taught here, you can get to study that maybe on Friday in your weekday batch. Anyway, Kirutish will study UTs in this weekend only, so doubt will be resolved. Okay. Oh, economics batch is running for us because one was class was missed. It's okay. You have the recordings now. Watch the recordings. No problem, right? Any other doubt beyond parallel batches running? That I cannot control the other faculty and tell him don't teach right now, right? These are all managerial decisions. And the class started at 10, so I believe maybe we'll skip on 1.5 hours of class. Recordings can be. Oh, Nikhil says no one actually watches the recordings, but when the recordings were not made available, there's a hue and cry by students here that we want recordings. Our life relies on recordings, and that is why the recordings were made available. One aspirant says so. That's the same old story, There was this lady who was planning to sell fish in the market, and she went to the market to sell fish, and she put up all the fish in front and a big hoarding. No hoarding. So a person came by, all full of sweat, and says, "Come on, you are selling fish. Where is the hoarding? At least put a hoarding here." So now she realized, oh yes, I need to put a hoarding. And she puts a hoarding called fresh fish sold here. A few hours later, a person came saying, "What is this fresh fish sold here? It's here only, right? This word here makes no sense. Remove it." The lady removed the word here. Fresh fish sold. One more person came. You are in the market. You are selling fish, of course. Why to write sold? Remove this sold. Now the board has fresh fish. Another person came saying fresh fish. Of course, it would be fresh, right? Makes no sense. Why will you sell old stale fish? Fresh was removed. Again, by the evening, a person came said, I can see it's fish here. What's the point of writing fish on the board? Remove it. And she put down the board. The moral of the story is you cannot please everyone. There are bound to be people who will have problems with whatever you do in life. So, starting with this, let's begin our discussion for this weekend, a fun filled weekend where we'll be discussing a lot of topics, small topics, lot of topics, because the larger topics are over and the largest of all topics is scheduled for the next week. That is the rights and what? DPSPs, I mean, rights per se. Okay, so let's begin now. And first up, we know very well that our sessions begin with 5 questions for the day. So, beginning with those 5 questions, let's start. Please mark the answer. Senthil, my face is not available. No, my face is available. It may not be visible. Guys, if the question is not visible, face is not visible, etc., refresh. Oh, interesting. Which of the statements are correct? There is no fixed tenure for the Supreme Court judges. Of course, there is no fixed tenure, and they can be removed from their office by the president on the recommendation of the parliament. That's absolutely correct. One is correct. The conduct of Supreme Court judges cannot be discussed in the legislature except during impeachment motions. That's also correct. That you cannot discuss the conduct of judges in the House because that would be a breach of your privilege, and a privilege motion can be raised against you. Right. Moving on to the next question. So, since both are correct, C is the right answer. Next question. I'll give you a minute. Please mark the answer. Sidhu, we have the recordings available on your application. It's almost 60% class being done. So you'll have to watch the recordings or attend some later batch. That would be more appropriate. Okay, So, number of judges in the Supreme Court can be increased by the Parliament, yes or no? Yes. And judges in High Court by the President? Yes. Removal process of judge of Supreme Court and High Court? Same. Absolutely correct. The advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court has to be presided over by minimum 5 judges is also correct. Which article is this? Advisory jurisdiction. Any idea? Very good. It is Article 143. One correct answer, Khambapati. Then, salaries, allowances, and pensions of judges of Supreme Court, yes, and High Courts are charged on CFI. The salary and allowance of High Court judges is not charged on CFI, is charged on CFS. Only the pension of the High Court judges is charged on the CFI. Salary, etc., consolidated fund of the state. So 3 is wrong. Only 3 are correct. Moving on to the next question. Please mark the answer. Okay. Why have you guys marked C as the answer? The oath and affirmation of the judge of Supreme Court is in which schedule? Please tell me. The third schedule. Of course. Very good. Apurva, Matlub, Golapalli, Omkar, Eman, Karan, Kambapati, Parshuram, Sherlin. Aji, it's third schedule, not the second schedule. Second schedule is all about salaries and allowances. Don't make these mistakes. One is wrong. Any retired judge of the Supreme Court of India can be called back to sit and act as a Supreme Court judge by the CGI with prior permission of the President of India. Absolutely correct. This is Article 128, when retired judges can be called back. So B is the right answer. Okay. Fourth question for today. A lot of you got this correct. Great. Court of Records. Which article? 129. Very, very important. Judgments are recorded for perpetual memory. Judgments are deemed to be evidences. Judgments or verdicts are followed as precedents by the lower courts. One is correct. The Supreme Court has a power to punish for contempt of court. Yes, of course, Supreme Court does. Which other court has a power to punish for contempt? Tell me. High courts. Absolutely correct. And what's the article for high courts? Can I know, please? The article also. The court of record. Niranjan, very good. Kamapati, very good. It's article 215. Matlub, excellent. Great, guys. Amazing that revision is going on. Others, I would need you also to answer. Okay, Rahul. So both statements are correct, hence C, both 1 and 2. Right? Now, moving on to the last question for today. Okay, firstly, I hope you all did observe the incorrect word. Yes? Was there anybody who could not see the word incorrect? Now, the High Court judges on retirement are debarred from practicing in the Supreme Court. No, High Court judges are debarred from practicing in only those courts where they have acted as a High Court judge. One is wrong. Violation of the Constitution is the only ground for removal. Violation of Constitution is a ground for removal of which person? Tell me. Who is removed on the ground of violation? Absolutely correct. It's the President of India. The judges are removed on the grounds of what? Misbehavior or incapacity. These two grounds. Hence, this is also wrong. Both statements are wrong. Answer is C, both 1 and 2. Okay, that's it. That's it. We are done for the day. We are done with the discussion. Let's now move on to the topics at hand. In the previous class, the last topic we discussed was actually the model code of conduct. Now we'll look into some electoral issues and then we'll discuss the first part of the Indian Constitution. Right? Let me show the leaderboard as well. So only two people getting all correct. Maybe others joined late. I'm not sure what was the reason. Shahid and Sushant Burma. Pradeep, Apurva, Matloob, Khambapati, Venkatesh getting 4 correct. Then M. Savan Kumar, Sherlin, Ganesh, Ananya, Krishn, Habib, Sanchit, Govind Rajulu, Aniket, Ritika getting 3 correct. And then some of you, Payal, Binata, Urvashi, Omkar getting 2 correct. Okay, so let's move on. Begin our discussion on the electoral issues. Issue number 1 is compulsory voting. Now, I would want to take a poll here. Okay, tell me how many of you have never voted in the election, or those who have voted, press A. Those who have not voted, press B. In any election. Okay, there's no right and wrong. I had to choose one, so I chose one. Fair enough. Now, how many of you feel that voting should be compulsory? In our country, what is compulsory voting firstly? So, right now, voting is optional. Like those who have not voted, nothing happens. Now, some of you here who have not voted could be underage, or since you become turned 18, elections are not happening in your area. Those are separate reasons. But those who are eligible to vote, and if they don't vote, what happens in the country? Nothing. It's okay. Because anyway, if you look at the voter turnout in the country, it is roughly two-third people, meaning roughly 67.4% of the population goes out to vote. That's the concept. So, compulsory voting. The voter turnout 67.4%. This was in 2019 Lok Sabha elections. Out of 100 people, 67 to 68% people, around 60 crore people, went out to vote. Now, why don't people vote can be attributed to various aspects, right? Tell me, guys, why don't those who have not voted, why did you not vote? Sick. Dinesh was sick on every voting day. Okay, possible, possible. No, underage, exclude that. If you are not eligible, exclude that. All those who are eligible and did not vote, why? Nikhil, no ideal candidate able to vote. Kambapati living in some other part of the country. Okay. Others, would you like to name not in voter list Urvashi? Yuvraj, less literacy? No, what is your reason? Sendil, I want your reason, not they. Forget the people, you talk about yourselves. Not interested in politics. No. Eman, because I don't trust candidates. Okay. So, no, Omkar, I wanted your viewpoint, not what must be a or what could have been a reason. Why did you not go and vote? So, see, as far as the voting is concerned, Aniket, in my area, rupees 2000 was given per person, so I did not go for voting. So, you wanted more? Is that a concern? Or don't take the money, go and vote. Okay, Yashaswini. Okay. See, why don't people vote can be attributed to various reasons. One reason, as some of you have pointed out, is that you have no trust. Nobody is good. In your eyes, everybody is useless. Who to vote for? It's like choosing the best amongst the worst. Fair enough. One more reason, as somebody was mentioning, was because uh, they live in a different part of the state, a different part of the country. So logistic issues, that's possible, especially for students, for working professionals. Logistic issue is actually a concern because you are living in some other part of the country. Now, when it comes to uh, a very important reason, see, a lot of you here may be saying all these things that nobody is good enough and all, but did you go and press the nota button? I know if you press nota, nothing happens. Nota, none of the above. Even if nota gets the highest votes, nothing happens. Right? We understand that. But the point is, a message is sent across that you are winning the election just because of this aspect that you have the highest number of votes amongst all the candidates. But people have largely rejected everyone. So at least those who are not interested can go and press nota, rather than finding out this concern that raising this concern that nobody is good enough, nobody is worthy. Right? It's the arrogance of the voter that I know who is good. And when you make all these statements, everybody is corrupt. What data do we have to substantiate with this? It's a loose statement. Maybe some of them are not corrupt. It's possible, right? That's also possible. So, Nikhil, I just explained that it is not about parties suffering or not. It is about making a statement also. Sometimes statements need to be made like this. It is very easy. I remember this movie. I'm sure you must have seen this movie called Rang De Basanti, starring a horde of actors from the Hindi and the Tamil industry, where there's a discussion going on in this movie where Siddharth, this very famous Tamil actor, he's constantly cribbing about everything in the country, every time. To which Madhavan responds by saying that no country is great. You have to make a country great, right? So it is through these small steps that we ensure our participation and our contribution as much as we can. So rather than cribbing and not doing anything, doing something is always better. So anyway, it's a very personal choice also, voting. Nevertheless, one such reason, Joe, I feel which is largely the reason is apathy, disinterest. Somebody mentioned this point actually, that no interest in politics, voter apathy. Because going to the polling booth or before that getting a voter I card, right, running here and there, uh, knowing things, come on, who will waste time in all this? Rather I can watch a Netflix series or some YouTube shorts or Instagram reels or make some cringe-worthy videos. Who will take all this effort to search for things, right? So that can be a reason. So voter apathy, what is apathy? Apathy means disinterest, lack of interest. Now one more reason for lack of interest can be, like I when I said vote for nota, some of you said, so what happened? Nothing happens. Or what is the value of my vote? 10 lakh people are there, I am the only intellectual person, I go and vote nota, so what happens? Or I vote for A or B, my vote has no value amongst 10 lakh people. That's actually correct. A single person's vote value, I mean, we don't know of any case where somebody has won the election with just one vote. Only two cases that ever happened. One was in Karnataka when A.R. Krishnamurthy from JDS lost to Dhruv Narayan from Congress in 2004 elections. Right. The second case was the very infamous case of C.P. Joshi. So people from Rajasthan would know C.P. Joshi. C.P. Joshi was basically the party chief also in Rajasthan and was all slated to become the CM in 2008. But sadly, he lost the election. Ashok Gehlot became the CM, and he has continued to be the CM since then. CP Joshi lost by one vote to, I think, this fellow, Kalyan Singh Chauhan from BJP. CP Joshi lost by one vote, and you'll be surprised to know that on the day of voting, his wife did not go to vote. She went to temple to pray for her husband's victory, but did not go to vote. Maybe that was God's way of saying that you should have gone to the polling booth instead, not to the temple, right? But anyway, so this is a case with respect to voter turnout. Now, there are some countries which have compulsory voting. 28 countries have compulsory voting. And you will find that in all these countries, say, for example, Belgium, the voter turnout 87%. Say a country like Turkey, now of course, the voter turnout is 90%. A country like South Korea sees a voter turnout of roughly 78 to 80%. Now, other countries like USA, UK, their voter turnout is less than India, right? So, India's voter turnout is not that pathetic or bad. But my point, coming back to now that poll, do you think voting should be made mandatory and compulsory? Meaning, if you don't vote, some punishment will be given. That kind of compulsory. Type A for yes, B for no. Okay, a lot of you say yes. Now, all those who have said yes, we'll start our discussion on compulsory voting with the advantages and benefits only. What exactly is the benefit? What exactly is the advantage? So, what's the argument in favor? First, of course, it can increase voter turnout, right? 28 countries have this. So, voter turnout can increase. More people will now turn up to vote. Currently, it is 67.4%. It may increase. Now, don't expect it to reach 100%. That's not possible. On the day of voting, it is bound to be the case that somebody may be sick, somebody is ill, somebody is in a coma, somebody met with an accident. Hundreds of things can go wrong, right? And data suggests that it can increase by 7 to 17%, not more than that. And this also will depend on type of punishment and strictness of enforcement. Tell me, what kind of punishment should we give for not voting? All those who were in favor, I would love to know what punishments to give for not voting. Jail for 3 months, Dinesh, that's too harsh. Eman, fine. How much fine? Give me an exact amount. Maybe a rough amount. Stop the government facilities. Government scheme benefits, stop them. For a couple of months, who owns basic things for the government not to be provided? 2,000 rupees fine. Can I just ask one important question here? Cancel the ration card. Dinesh, okay. Do you think Ambani has ration card? Adani ration card? They are receiving benefits from government, all the rich elite people? No, right? So, if the rich and elite people are not receiving benefits and your punishment is cancelling government facilities, then are you not selectively only targeting poor people? What kind of punishment is this? Which is only meant for poor people, not for rich people. So, I don't have a voter, I don't have any government facility, ration card. Why should I go and vote? Because I don't get any facility from the government. Fine according to income. So, based on income. Again, a rich person can afford to pay a fine, poor cannot. Are you able to understand? All your punishments are targeted towards the poor only. The moment you bring in money as a form of punishment, it automatically targets and segregates the poor, because now they have to go back and vote because they are earning 1,000 rupees. And M7 shut down the internet for some days. Again, the same logic. A daily wage laborer, he'll suffer. Increase GST for non-voting people. Now, how to selectively increase GST for them? That may not be possible. Again, the monetary problem. Elite people, legal facilities. What are they getting? Which legal facility? Will you stop them from moving on the road? Legal facility like buying property. Based on income tax they are paying. Almost 95% people don't pay income tax. Then why will they vote? I hope you understand that the big concern is a punishment. And not just this, not just this. Even if you impose some punishment, how to enforce it? And what about the legal challenges? There can be hundreds of challenges in the court that I did not vote because of this reason, that reason, right? When any punishment is given, you are allowed to challenge it in the court. 30 crore people did not vote in the last elections. How many? 30 crore. Even if 10% of them challenge, 3 crore people will challenge the punishment in the court. 3 crore pending cases in our judiciary. So again, that is also going to be a problem. Okay. Parshuram, as per the survey, employees vote is less. Which survey are we talking about? That employees vote is less? Anyway, the point is genuine that yes, it can increase voter turnout, but yes, it has its own challenge. I hope you understand now the limitation and challenges. Then, it can also increase people's participation. Yes, in or interest in politics now, that increases. Then, weaker section will get a voice. The weaker section gets voice because now voting is compulsory. Everybody votes, rich, poor, everybody. The poor also gets to vote, right? And you will get to choose a leader. So again, you have a voice, a say in the elections. Then parties always keep on claiming that we need money. We need money in elections for campaigns, to spread awareness about voting, to spread awareness about candidates. That's the party's logic. Now, if voting is compulsory, don't worry. You don't have to spread information on voting. People, now it's their responsibility to find out the day of voting, etc. Clear? So it will also reduce the need for large sums of money in the campaigns, because now it is not your duty as a political party to spread information. So don't worry, don't waste money. So role of money power will also come down. Then it will make campaigns broader. See, as of now, every party knows what is their voting or what is their voter base. So parties know which type of people come and vote. A very simple example is say NRIs. NRIs don't come back and vote. Very few of them. Handful of them come back and vote. Around 25,000 out of crore, almost a crore NRIs. This means what? Every party knows that they need to incorporate nothing in their poll promise for NRIs. In some areas, women were not interested in voting, right? So that again became a concern. Why? Because again, if you are not my visible voter base, why will I, in my poll promise, have anything for you? I have no interest because I know you will never come and vote. That is why the campaigns will become broader if everybody has to vote. Now the parties will have to add in their poll promise those aspirations which are, say, for NRIs, women, any weaker section, because everybody is voting, so all their aspirations and expectations will be a part of the election manifesto. Okay, then see, right now voting is not compulsory, so some of you make very loose remarks that everybody is corrupt, all nonsense, disgusting people. But the point is, did you actually do thorough research? Some of you may have, but did everybody? And not just this is an informed group of people. You are educated. We are referring to the entire country. Do people do a proper research on the background, etc., of the candidate? No. In most cases, people do not do any kind of study or research. But now, if see voting is compulsory, people will think, see, I have to go and vote. Why don't I vote properly? Why don't I do my research properly? So maybe a day before the voting, you'll go to your friend's place. You guys will sit together, start discussing on the candidates available, do some Google search on the candidate, find out their past, their previous activities, etc., and maybe then vote. So the voters will also now inform themselves better, educate themselves better, so as to choose the right candidate. That's also there. Then uh, one thing that, of course, uh, we need to persuade people into voting. That's a very important element. I fully agree with that. But also understand that when it comes to voting, we have now come down to what? To incentivize people, we give them free burger, free pizza. So all these food joints, they run these campaigns. Show your stained finger, meaning show your finger where you have the ink, get a free burger. Meaning if you vote, free food for you for one day. I am sure some of you here have pets and dogs or know people who have pets and dogs. How do you train dogs? Any idea? A misconception is that dogs get trained through love. No, no, no. Dogs have food drive. That is why when you are selecting a puppy, a small pup, the most important element to choose in a pup is the food drive. If the puppy is very highly motivated for food, they are very easy to train. What is this? Throwing a burger on the voter's face. Come on, you want free food? Go and vote. Treating us like animals. I mean, there are other ways of incentives. This is not a very respectful way of incentivizing voting. And that also, uh, election, festival of democracy, it's fun. Come on. Now, see, election is a very serious matter. It should be taken with all seriousness. It is not a fun filled activity. It's not a day's outing. It's not some picnic. You are going to choose somebody who is going to decide the fate of our country, right, for the next 5 years. And it is very important for us to take it seriously. The seriousness aspect has been removed from it, right? That is something. And then we talk about nationalism. It's all fake pseudo nationalism that you're talking about. If we cannot take out time to be serious about voting on one day, then I think we have no right to call ourselves nationalist, or even make random statements to people go to Pakistan because we have done nothing to be a part of this country. What is our contribution apart from watching some random videos on YouTube and bashing the other nations? Nothing. So it's a very serious matter and should be taken seriously. It's not a fun-filled activity. It's not some families get together to some adventure park or a water park for the day. That's a problem. Uh, Now, lastly, uh, you must have seen this movie Sarkar, starring Vijay. Now, if you have not seen this movie, you must have heard of these weird cases where people they go to the polling booth and their name is not there in the voting list. They go to the polling booth to find that somebody has voted on their behalf. Or as some of you had said, how to get a voter ID card, where to get all this information, right? Now, these kind of discrepancies which are there, as of now, what happens? You go to the polling booth because you want to vote and get a photograph on your Instagram. But then you go to the booth and realize your name is not in the voter list. Some mistake has been made on their part. What do? Nothing. You come back feeling sad. But imagine if voting was mandatory and there was punishment for it. Then what would you do? You would raise a hue and cry there that, come on, who is responsible? If I don't vote, I'll be punished. Will you be responsible? I want to vote right now. I want my name there. I don't care. You will say all these things. This is actually going to pressurize the election commission also into improving these or removing rather these discrepancies, simplifying the voting process. For example, right now NRIs have to come back and vote. It's a very serious concern, and election commission has shown no interest in this. But if voting is compulsory, you cannot have this kind of problem that somebody has to spend 2 lakh rupees to come and vote. So maybe e-postal ballot will be introduced, or even for these migrant laborers who work across the country, they have to go back and vote. So maybe they'll have some kind of remote voting also for migrants. So all these things will have to be introduced. Or removing discrepancies in the voter list, in the electoral roll. So these things will be undertaken, of course. These are all arguments in favor. What are arguments against? First up is the very basic idea of choice. See, we are talking about a democracy, and then you are saying mandatory. No, no, no. The very first principle is the idea of choice. In fact, if you look at RPA, there is a section 79 in the RPA only. RPA 1951, which says right to vote includes refrain from voting. Meaning, right to vote includes right not to vote. Just like freedom of speech includes freedom of silence. Same thing here. So that also violates choice. It's my choice. I don't want to vote. Why are you forcing me? Please don't. Simple. Second, see, think of this. I think I gave the example earlier also. Whenever you are pressurized into doing something, the interest in that thing comes down naturally, right? Before the exam, you don't want to study that topic, you want to study something else, or after the exam you start studying sincerely, because now there's no pressure to study. But before the exam it's pressure to study, then you don't want to study. Or you want to prepare for UPSC, but suddenly your parents will constantly keep on forcing you study, study, study every day. You get irritated because now you're being forced into studying. So whenever you start forcing people into doing something, the interest comes down, right? Rather than the interest increasing. Then it will also encourage informal or donkey votes. What is a donkey vote? The idea of a donkey vote is this. So in Australia, this used to happen a lot. So in Australia, they follow a list system. You have this list. Okay, all the names are there. You have to mark your preference, just like the election of the president here. It was found that people in Australia, what they were doing was they simply went to the polling booth. Now, voting is compulsory. I have to come and vote. What should I do? I come. So, without even seeing whose name is here, whose name is here, people would simply start marking their preferences. Right? The same thing happened in India also. You go to the polling booth and press any button. Right? My name, press the button and run away from there. Task over. Done. That can also be a problem. Right? Random votes, informal kind of donkey votes, which are devoid of any interest or knowledge, that will also increase. And it will also increase the law enforcement cost, especially with respect to punishments. Enforcing penalties plus legal challenges in court. All these things can be a concern. And you'll also be surprised to find that in our across the globe, there are a lot of countries which are moving away from compulsory voting, like countries which have stopped compulsory voting. Countries, some of them back, some of them back in 1967, country like the Netherlands, it has found nothing useful happening due to compulsory voting. Or say a country like Italy, back in 1993, a country like say Austria, 2004, recently Thailand, 2012, or more recently Cyprus, 2017. Various countries have stopped, moved away from compulsory voting. So it is not being seen as some kind of you know panacea for all the problems, that okay, if you have compulsory voting suddenly things will be great. No. And largely in our country 60 crore people are already going and voting. What is going to happen if some more people vote? Not really. 60 crore people is a sufficient representation of the mood of the nation. If you think that 60 crore people cannot properly represent the country's mood, I'm not sure how 90 crore can represent it in a better fashion. It won't. Largely, things will be the same. The same people will get elected. Maybe one or two seats here and there could find some difference. So the focus should be, yes, we want more people to turn up to vote, but the focus is to persuade, right? Tell people, come and vote. This is a meme not made by me, by election commission only. Look at how they have tried to persuade people to vote. So this is from a very famous movie called DDLJ, a Hindi movie, Dil Wale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, starring Shah Rukh Khan. So those who have not seen the movie, how many of you have not seen the movie? Everybody has seen the movie. A few of you have not seen the movie. So basically, in the climax, so this is the heroine's father. He is stopping, he's holding her hand. This is a heroine. He's holding her hand, not letting her go. And this actor is leaving on the train. So finally, when the father sees the actor's love for his daughter, his heart also melts. And he says, go, Simran, ja, Simran, ja, go. Nobody can love you more than he loves you. So in this case, the idea is that if you are a voter, maybe you'll get a person who you love. Maybe you go to the polling booth and you find your soulmate on the polling booth standing in front of you or behind you. You have an informed discussion on voting. You guys may have the same preference, and then you hit it off immediately. Later on, get married. Possible. Now, that may not be a very good incentive. Please don't go searching for your soulmate on the polling booth. That may not happen. I don't want to disappoint you, giving you false hopes and all. Firstly, there's nothing called soulmate. It's all about adjustments in life. But nevertheless, let's not get into the details of all these things. But yeah, so the idea is that you have to persuade people, make them aware, and also incentives, not monetary incentive. Don't give money and all. When you bring money into voting, it corrupts the process, right? So rather than bringing in money into voting, a more appropriate thing would be to ensure that there is some kind of appreciation certificate, maybe some kind of thing that you can get online, and you can use it in your Instagram or your social media, etc., in the form of some certificate, some appreciation. This kind of incentive. And of course, election commission is addressing lot of concerns. They are currently working with ECI and IIT Madras. They are working together on remote voting. So don't expect anything anytime soon, but they are trying to work on remote voting to ensure that uh, all those people who are migrants are not required to travel back, and some kind of blockchain technology is being looked into as a possible solution for remote voting, right? Then there is a section 135 capital B which says that you have to be given a leave. Whoever is the employer has to give, on the day of voting, the employee leave to go and cast a vote. It has been found by the ECI that in a lot of these government departments, PSUs, even private companies, people do take leaves, but don't go and vote. They'll sit in the house and finish some series, or maybe get involved in their household work. That's also possible. So ECI has said that every government company, every PSU, every department, every private company, they have to hire a person or appoint a person as a nodal officer who will collect data on all such people. 1, 2, 10, 20, we don't care. Collect data and give it to us. And election commission will then ask all these people to attend a workshop, 6-hour long workshop, which will be organized to tell them the benefits of voting. So if you don't want to go and vote for 15, 20 minutes or half an hour, please come for a 6-hour workshop. Simple, right? So this is there. And beyond that, also election commission has taken a lot of things, steps. to simplify the voting process, we have now the campaign "No Voter to be Left Behind." That's the campaign that they run. No voter to be left behind. So they have this Form 6B, which is the Aadhaar and EPIC. What is EPIC? Voter ID card. So Aadhaar and voter ID card linkage. Then we have the VHA, the voter helpline application is there. Plus we have a portal also to apply for the voter ID card, making changes. Then we have the National Voter Service Portal. Then we have the PWD app separately, right? If you want a wheelchair request at the polling booth, if you want to be marked as a person with disabilities, all these things are being done slowly and steadily. So this is a way forward. Compulsory voting may not be a very good idea. Rather, we should give people a choice, an option to vote or not to vote. And eventually, at some point of time, please understand, not everybody is going to vote. It is okay. They are also a part of our country. They're also equal citizens. It's okay. We have to, this is what is true liberty, respecting the opinion. No problem. We may disagree with your opinion. You are at fault, but because it's your choice, it's okay. There is no need to bash them. Like when somebody does not stand up for the national anthem, people start beating, right? So it's okay. I mean, yes, if you are disrespecting the anthem, then maybe we can file a complaint against you. But all these things should not be done. And eventually, it's just a matter of choice, right? It's okay. So that's it. Our conclusion. I hope that you are satisfied with the conclusion. But in case anybody wants to say, no, no, I want compulsory voting, etc., feel free to write that in your answer. I have given you points for either side of things. Nikhil, maybe like Sweden, instead of Nota, a cartoon character. In USA also, you can, and a lot of people contest like this Mickey Mouse contests, Donald Duck contests. That's possible. Binita, in EPIC, I stands for what? Identity. Election photo identity card. Okay. Now coming to a small point, it's just for information for you. Electoral bonds. I mean, I don't expect a question fully on bonds alone, separately. It can be a part of a question, but a question on bonds alone, no, no, extremely difficult. But nevertheless, what are these electoral bonds? So understand, this story goes. Okay, just a small point. Aniket, see, in these countries, they provide for punishments, various kinds of punishments. For example, I'll give an example of, say, Brazil. In Brazil, what they do is they take away driving license only. These are not very appropriate punishments, right? Or in Brazil, there's also this rule that if you are not going to vote, then you will not be allowed to appear for the government jobs. So for select people, they are targeting it. So maybe in India, if that is there, at least you all will go and vote. UPSC aspirants 100% voting. Why? Because government job. So that's there. Okay. Coming to electoral bonds. Please tell me one simple answer to my question. From where do parties get money? I mean, parties are not running any business. We don't see any party running some kind of business activity, right? So how are parties getting money? Tell me. How do parties make money? Black money? No. How are they getting black money? Parties do not make money through black money. CFS? What is this CFS, Dinesh? Corruption? How will parties be corrupt? They have no power. Okay, Karan. Fair enough. Golapalli from where? Pradeep correct. Yuvraj correct. Ravi correct. Omkar correct. Parshuram also. Okay, Nikhil, fair enough. Eman, Satish. So basically, most of you know very well, parties get money from us, people, big companies, small companies, corporates, associations, bodies, MNCs, etc. So funding comes from people only. Parties don't run any kind of enterprise. Okay, so they need money, and the money comes from people. Now the big problem here is that see, there are two issues largely. Issue number one is for us, that somebody was raising that parties black money, etc. Now, if I have some black money, I contribute to the party in cash. Cash. So no trace of how the party got money. So the black money gets converted to white money, right? So we have to prevent that. That is why in our country there's a limit to cash donations. If I want to donate money through cash, I could only give 20,000 rupees or less than that, not more than that. If I have to contribute 50,000, I need a check, a demand draft, etc. Cash donation only 20,000. That's point number one. Now the second problem. Let's say I'm a rich corporate and I want to donate money to say some party. I want to donate say 10 crores. Now the cash limit is only 20,000. So I have to give a check, a demand draft, which has my name on it, which can be traced. And if let's say, I am a businessman, my name is Sudani. Some businessman, Mr. Sudani, wants to give money to us, a party B, some party. We don't know which party. Now, when Sudani gives money to party B, suppose, let's assume that party C comes to power after the elections. Now, party C is very angry with Mr. Sudani that, oh, when we were in the opposition, you were funding party B. Now we have come to power. We will not let any single project of yours be approved. We will follow rules so strictly that you will suffer. Now, Sudani can start suffering because of some other party coming to power. That's a concern. So, two things had to be solved. So, in 2017, in the finance bill, the budget, these provisions were added that from next year, that is from 2018 onwards, we will not allow, forget 20,000, we will not allow any cash donation of even 2,000 rupees. So, meaning the upper limit of cash donation is only 2,000 now. So, if I want to donate money to any party in cash and I want to give 3,000, I cannot give 3,000 rupees as cash. I have to give in the form of a check or a demand draft. So, the maximum limit of cash donation received by an individual or sent by an individual to a party can only be 2,000. So they have broken it into further small denomination of 2,000. But the problem remains that if I have to donate say 10,000, now the problem is that I have to use a check. The party knows my name, other parties know my name, so there could be trouble for me in future. So there should also be some kind of anonymous donation allowed without anybody knowing. So this is a type of anonymous donation. Just a method to donate money anonymously without the party knowing. It's like those secret love letters that one-sided lovers used to write. Okay, the person does not come to know. It has two advantages. Number one, if the person comes to know and he or she is interested, good, you can claim I wrote it. If he or she is angry, then you can simply claim I did not. Who else did this nonsense? Same thing here. So some kind of secret lover of the party. Now what do? Let us say you want to donate 10,000 rupees to any party, say BJP or say Congress. You are a big Rahul Gandhi fan and you say, I want to donate 10,000 to Congress, but I don't want BJP to know. Okay. So what do? There are certain number of days, select days only. And which days? Those days are the first 10 days of every quarter. On first 10 days of every quarter. That means January, April, July, and October. First 10 days of every quarter, right? So, what happens here is that when it comes to these 10 days, I will walk in to say any kind of branch, designated branch of State Bank of India. There are only 29 such branches across the country, the main branch in every big city. Okay, so I'll go to an SBI branch and I will give the money to the officer there and ask him or her, give me electoral bond. Now, I should have an account in SBI. If I don't have an account, I have to fulfill the obligation of KYC, know your customer, meaning I have to give my PAN card, Aadhaar, ID proof, etc. So the bank collects the information. Or if I have an account, I can tell the bank, please take money from my account and give me electoral bond. What is this bond? It's a piece of paper. This is the electoral bond, a piece of paper. This bond will be given to me. Clear? Now, this bond has the date of issue mentioned. This date I received the bond. Money is given to the bank by me. Now the bank knows the information that who has purchased the bond, but the bank will not share this information with anyone. So issued by State Bank of India, and if you observe here, my name is not there anywhere. So who has purchased this bond? Nobody knows. By looking at the bond paper, you cannot know who has purchased this bond. Okay? They do not bear the name of the donor. And plus, bank not covered under RTI also. Are we clear on this? Bank is not covered under RTI, right to information. So you cannot file an RTI and tell the bank, come on, show me who all purchased bonds over 1 crore rupees. Bank will say no, get lost. Done? Now, I will take this piece of paper and go to my favorite party's office and throw it there secretly. Or maybe I can post it. I can courier it. I can ask some guy on the road, listen fellow, come here, take 10 rupees. Please give this bond to the Congress party office. The bond is given. Now, the Congress party office gets this bond. They will come to the bank within 15 days from the date of issue. So this bond is valid only up to 15 days. So what's the validity? Validity 15 days from date of issue. That's the validity. Within 15 days, the Congress party will go to the SBI and give them the bond. Take this bond. and the bank will give them 10,000 rupees. So basically what has happened here, very simple. This person goes to SBI, okay, and gives SBI money and gets a bond in return, a piece of paper, electoral bond. Now you give the bond to a political party. This political party will now take the bond, give it to the bank will give money. So your money has gone to the party, right, without the party knowing who has given the money, and bank acts as the intermediary. Are we clear? This is an electoral bond. Any issue, any concern so far? Guys, it's just the morning, so we have to be active right now. At least mention something, yes or no. Am I audible, guys? Everyone? No issues, no concern to anyone? Okay. Let's assume all things are okay. So, this is all about electoral bonds. Now, one small point here. If I want to donate 1300 rupees, I cannot. If I want to donate 700 rupees, I cannot. Because bond can be purchased only in certain denomination, like multiples of 1000, multiples of 10,000, multiples of 1 lakh, multiples of 10 lakh, multiples of 1 crore. That's it. So if I have to donate 1300 rupees, I can donate only 1000, not 300. So can I donate 13,000 rupees? Tell me, yes or no? If I want to donate 13,000, can I donate 13,000? Yes, we can. 10,000 plus 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. 13,000. Simple. Or 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 13,000. Multiple ways. Are we clear? Okay. Cheap reasoning question. Now, one more point. If the party is not able to send the bond within 15 days, if not redeemed, like your coupon sometimes get expired, if not redeemed, then what happens to the money? Where does the money go to? If it is not redeemed, if it is not encashed, the money goes to what? The PM's relief fund. It does not come back to you. Sorry. Prime Minister's relief fund. So you have sent this money to the government indirectly, and you will never be able to know also. Now, these are instruments to be used for funding eligible political parties. Not every party can get to purchase a bond. No, 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 no. Only certain parties which meet a certain criteria. What criteria? the criteria that you must have received at least 1% votes in the last election, and of course you should be a registered party. Plus received at least 1% of the votes, total votes polled. This is what is the eligible party. Clear? That's it. Now, just a sec, guys. Okay, so this is the type of parties which will get the money. Also, if I am taking this bond, now you are the Congress fan, you have purchased the bond, and you are going to go to the what? You are walking to the Congress party office, and midway only, some BJP fan comes, slaps you, snatches the bond, and runs away. And if he goes and gives it to the BJP party office, and BJP goes to bank and says, bond, give me money, will the BJP give the money? Or will the bank give money to BJP? Tell me. Yes, of course. Because the bond has nobody's name on it. Right? Whoever goes to the bank will encash the bond. That is why it is called a bearer banking instrument. What is a bearer instrument? Whoever bears it, owns it, encashes it. Simple. Whoever bears it, encashes it. That's the bearer instrument. Like a note. If you find a 500 rupee note on the ground, it's yours. Simple. That is all as far as the bond is concerned. Clear? Questions now. Shahid, if I purchase 2 crore of electoral bond, can the bank? No. Not required. Bank will. Why will the bank ask you for source of funds? Krishna, doubt answered. Shahid, can the bank tell the ruling party? They should not. Ganesh, why bond transfer to another party? When was bond transferred? Bond, the bank will give money to whoever brings this piece of paper in the bank. Are we clear? If you are a registered party which has received more than 1% votes in the previous election, then you can go to the bank, steal all the bonds, go to the bank will give you all the money. Simple. Sendil, like your bond couldn't redeem concerned authority. Yes, if my bond is not redeemed by the party, or whatever is the leftover bonds the party could not redeem, all the money goes to the PM's relief fund. Are we clear now? Kambapati, that's something the government has decided. So we have no control over it. Why in only SBI? So that's what government has decided. Deepa, I have not started to vote. And there is no issue, madam. It's okay. It's your choice. How many times we can take? It depends on your money. It depends on how much money you have. So there is a limit of bonds. No limit. No limit at all. Aniket, so as you're giving extra question in class, can you give it to write? Write what? I mean, I do dictate the mains questions also. So for that, you'll have to attend the entire class to get to know when I have dictated the question. Now, what's the concern? What's the concern with the bonds? I'll give you some data on which party got how much of money. So this data till 2022, funds received by the party till 2022 in the form of electoral bonds. BJP alone received around 57% of the bonds, roughly 5,270 crores. Then came Congress, INC, which was around 10%. Then came other parties like All India Trinamool Congress, DD's party, around 7%, right? Or 8%. Let's write 8%. Congress also around 10%. So you can very well understand who has been at the receiving end as a beneficiary for bonds. Most money has been received by BJP only. And this has been the situation so far. Of course, there are two or three very serious concerns. One concern is that, see, bank has no way to check what's the source of funds. So one big problem or issue can be black money used to fund parties. Point one. Point two. As somebody was pointing out that, sir, can the government get information from SBI? Now, see, ideally no, but maybe because ruling party finance minister may get information on contributors. That's possible. If the Ministry of Finance, an IAS officer from the ministry, asks for money, do you think it is possible for the particular person to not give money, ask for, sorry, information? Do you think it's possible for the bank officer to deny it? And IAS in the Ministry of Finance has a lot of control over your postings and transfers. So, of course, and eventually, one more question is that after all, what do banks get? Banks are printing the bond and bank is selling the bond. Is bank getting any interest? No. So the printing cost plus transaction cost is all borne by the bank. This is taxpayers' money. our money, it is SBI. So our money is used additionally on this. So this is a concern with respect to electoral bonds. This matter is pending in the court. Constitutional validity pending in the Supreme Court. Okay, the ADR case of 2023. Association for Democratic Reforms case 2023. Let's see what the Supreme Court has to say when the time comes, because the government says that the electoral bonds will bring transparency. The opposition says it is going to remove transparency. Who is correct? Let the courts decide. Why should we get involved in such matters? Are we clear, everybody? That is all as far as electoral bonds is concerned. Okay. So in the previous class, I had given that link for simultaneous elections, one nation, one election. Did you guys find time to go through that video? Was that possible, or it was not possible? So you have been so busy not to watch even 1 hour of that video. Anyway, don't worry. I'll briefly explain that issue again today. Okay. So what is that? One nation, one election concept. Ritika, the third point is that the printing cost, somebody is printing the piece of paper. So who is printing the paper? The bank only. Bank is bearing the cost, and bank gets nothing in return. Right? It's like money comes, money goes. What is left with the bank? Nothing. So whenever SBI is wasting any money, it is our money which is getting wasted. Don't worry, we'll begin our discussion on simultaneous elections or one nation, one election. Though this is an obsolete topic, it is just because this is in news. I'll devote some time to it. It's a very simple concept. Let's do one thing. Let's take a quick break. Be back at 1:45. Not too much of break because we have a lunch break at 3. And we'll continue our discussion on one nation, one election, simultaneous elections. Okay? Break, please, guys. Welcome back, guys. So now we'll discuss about the one nation, one election. So, see, there's no definition of this concept, but because of our general understanding, it is assumed that we will have elections at the same time for the Lok Sabha and the Vidhan Sabha. Not on the same day. It is not that you will go and cast two votes, one for Lok Sabha, one for Vidhan Sabha. That may happen. So the finalities we don't know, but the estimate is that we will have election at the same time for all the state MLAs, all the constituency MPs. Are we clear on this? Firstly, one nation, one election, or simultaneous elections. So right now, what is happening? Look at this only. Recently, we had the elections for Nagaland, Meghalaya, Tripura. We had the elections for Karnataka. Then we'll have elections for Chhattisgarh, MP, Rajasthan, maybe shortly Telangana, Mizoram, right? Then next year, 2024 May, Lok Sabha elections, Sikkim elections. So we have so many elections every year. Every 3-4 months, elections somewhere. Every 3-4 months, elections somewhere. So what we want is to combine all these together, that every state and the center elections at the same time. This is the concept of one nation, one election. Clear? Now, Pooja, sir, local bodies be. See, there is no categorical statement anywhere that local bodies will be there or will not be there. But adding local bodies could be a challenge. So maybe local bodies separately, but these two elections together. That is our understanding as of now. Clear? So local bodies separately. Now, what has been the history with respect to this election? So the history has been very simple. In 1952, we had the elections. Till 1967, we almost one nation, one election was there. One nation, one election. We'll use a short form. Why? Because in 1952 we had that for Congress, for the Lok Sabha. 57 again, 62, 5 years. 67 Lok Sabha. Now, for the states, some problem, say in Kerala. For example, in Kerala, there's a problem. 57 to 59, there was a different government. It was dissolved then. Again, now their circle changed or their cycle changed. 60, 65. Again, after this, from 65 to 67, again, we had the president's rule. But beyond that, in every state at the Lok Sabha, we had elections at the same time. Right? Same time. Post 1967, firstly, in the Lok Sabha itself, there's a problem. 1967 to 70, we had the Lok Sabha. Therefore, new Lok Sabha in 1971, their cycle got disrupted. And also, the assemblies in the state of Bihar, in the state of Odisha, in the state of West Bengal, in the state of Haryana, in all these states, you'll find that, say, in Bihar, we had 67 to 69, in Odisha, 71, Haryana, 68. Because of defection, everywhere you'll find that there are coalition governments, then governments are being removed through confidence motions, and hence there is dissolution of the house, elections are taking place. So that concept that the Lok Sabha and all the states elections are in sync, running at the same time, did not happen, right? And it is very, very difficult actually to maintain this, because in some state at some point of time there is going to be this problem that because you can't guarantee a full 5 year tenure, especially in a situation where we have the coalition government. Who knows? Tomorrow, the coalition partners can part ways, disruption, no party can prove majority, dissolution. This can happen at any point of time. Yes or no? This is a problem. Anyway, this was there in our country till 1967. That's just by chance. It is not by design. It is by chance that we had elections at the same time. Okay? Now, recommendations for this have come since a long period of time. I think Election Commissioner of India had given this reason because frankly they are fed up of conducting elections. Every year 2 or 3 elections take place. So maybe that's their personal problem that they have too many elections. So they are fed up. Otherwise, I don't see why they have a concern. Law Commission, this was Justice BP Jeevan Reddy's commission, so also called the Reddy Commission. Sometimes you may hear of this. Reddy Commission report. So this was chaired by Justice BP Jeevan Reddy, hence called the Reddy Commission. So Reddy Commission report also said the same thing. Let's have elections at the same time. In 2003, LK Advani, he pushed for this idea from BJP. In 2014, the BJP's election poll promise also contains this. In fact, the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, has pushed for this in 2016, has pushed for this in 2019, that we should have elections at the same time. Then a committee, remember DRSC? What is DRSC? The 24 committees, parliamentary committees. So the departmentally related standing committee on personnel, public grievances and pensions, and also law and justice. One common committee is there for both these ministries. So this committee also said in its 79th report. This is too much of detail, not required. In its 79th report, Nachiyappan, EMS Nachiyappan was the chairperson of this committee. Then Law Commission had given a draft report in 2018. Again, they had said the same thing. In 2019, also BJP's poll promise had the same thing. Then in November 2020, there was a presiding officers conference where the 80th presiding officers conference, where this was again decided that we should have one nation, one election. And ECI is said to be on board. Gaurav, class started at 12 o'clock, the regular time for the weekend batch. Don't ask this as a concern. Yashaswini, election manifesto. This manifesto means poll promise. Simple. When the party is fighting elections, it makes all these promises that if you vote for them, they'll perform all these tasks. That's called manifesto. Poll promise. Simple. Clear? So these were the recommendations from various domains, avenues, various areas, various parties involved. Largely, it is the current dispensation, the current ruling party which supports this idea. So that's the reason why this is also being discussed. Now, there are some international examples also of this. USA. In USA, you have simultaneous elections. Elections for the post of president, elections for the Senate, 1/3 members, and the elections for the House of Representatives. It takes place at the same time. Okay. Every 2 years, you have the HOR selection, 1/3 members, and every 4 years, president, same time. Then same goes for UK. we have this law called Fixed Term Parliaments Act. Then for South Africa, the provinces, the states, they're a national government. So we find that there are other countries also which follow a similar kind of practice. But my point is this: why do you want this first? What is the advantage, the merit? Why are we dying to have one nation, one election? So, firstly, the governance angle. If you remember, in the previous class, we were discussing about the model code of conduct, right? Model code of conduct. See, as far as the model code of conduct is concerned, one big problem with the model code of conduct is that for the government is that whenever you have mod elections anywhere, now in that area, model code of conduct comes into play, meaning no new schemes, no new programs can be launched. So the ruling party BJP says that because of this, there is frequent policy paralysis, meaning every time this comes as an impediment in my delivery of governance, because I want to improve the governance, but elections come and we have to stop announcement of new schemes and programs. I'm not sure if this is a very valid reason. This seems to be just a, I don't know, fake kind of reason. So, of course, this is going to be an argument given by the government only, because they are facing this impact, right? The challenge that it impacts the delivery of governance. They cannot launch new schemes and programs because there's election frequently. Then, uh, because election commission does not have its own security personnel, does not have its own staff, etc. What do? They hire teachers, they hire bankers, they hire security personnel, RPF, etc. regularly. That's what they do. So frequently, engagement of security forces plus other staff like bankers, like teachers, etc. This was there. This is also a problem, that at every regular interval in some part of the country, the teacher is not working, banker not working for 2 3 days only, but apparently it's a huge problem, right? Then frequent elections adversely impact the focus of governance and policy making. See, I think this is a very weird reason to quote, frankly, but the ruling parties are quoting this only. They are saying that, because we have elections very frequently, what happens is we are always in a campaign mode. Parties always in campaign mode, meaning ministers are always busy in campaigning. Every 2 or 3 months they go to campaign. Right now in Manipur, tomorrow in Nagaland, then in Punjab, then in Rajasthan, then in Chhattisgarh. Elections everywhere. Every 3 months I have to go and campaign. You come to meet me in the office. Minister Sahib has gone to campaign in Tripura. 4 months, he has gone to campaign in Tamil Nadu. He has gone to campaign in Gujarat. So he's always campaigning. That's a concern. It's a very weird concern, right? I mean, just because, just because I cannot focus on governance, so we should not have elections only. What kind of logic is this? Uh, We don't buy this logic, frankly. These are very shady logic given by the law commissions and the government, that we are always then frequent elections mean what? Short term decision making, short term decisions, immediate results are required, because we have to prove to the states that, see, we are doing great things, because elections are around the corner. That also makes the long term decision making take a back seat, and the government's focus on short term decisions. Then the financial angle. Of course, more elections, more money. So corruption. Frequent elections, more money. Simple, right? Then there has to be some kind of link also. More corporates giving more money, then seeking more favors for their own benefit, eventually against the benefit of larger country. And then frequent elections also lead to massive expenditures by the government and the other stakeholders. For example, I'll just give you some example. 1998 elections, 9,000 crores were spent. 2019 elections, 55 to 60,000 crores were spent. Expenditure. In this 55 to 60,000 crore rupees, it is estimated that 12 to 15,000 crore rupees was given as cash to voters. Cash. And formally also, 10 to 12,000 crore were spent in conducting elections. That is roughly 100 crore rupees per constituency. Right? In total, 100 crores per constituency are being spent. And of course, the parties have campaigned. In the campaigning, the parties have roughly spent around 20 to 25,000 crore rupees. That's also there. Right? Can you imagine the amount of money being spent in elections in 2019 amounts to 700 rupees for a single vote. For a single vote. And this keeps on happening at frequent intervals. So the parties are always wanting more money, right? It's like, what is that? There's a movie on a Marathi theme. I think Tumbad is the name of the movie. I'm not sure if you have seen it. It's like the Hastar, always hungry for food. Has anybody heard or seen the movie Tumbad by any chance? So those who have would relate, yet Hastar was always hungry only, perpetually hungry for food. Those who have not seen, it's okay. Think of your life only. Always hungry for better things. Same thing. Political parties need money, always sitting for more money, waiting for more money with their open mouths wide. That more money, give us money. Why? Because we have elections, 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 elections every few months. I need money every few months. That's the problem. Number one businessman movie of Mahesh Babu. Number one businessman. What is the Telugu name of the movie? Mahesh Babu, 40,000 crores. Okay. So that's also there. More examples pouring in. Then there's a social angle. Now, social angle is actually very genuine. You know, elections are a time where your normal life is disrupted. Number one, frequent elections disrupt normal public life. Traffic jams, road blockades, delivery of sometimes essential public services, ambulances standing with their sirens, but some parties' rallies going out, and they've hired these local goons who are roaming around with sticks, and you can't even raise your concern. If you try to act as an informed citizen, they'll start beating you only. And mob violence, that's a beauty, right? So this is a serious concern. Also, it is said that party cadre never get time for any social work amongst people because they are always in the mode of elections. And one very important thing, frequent elections perpetuate caste, religion, and communal divides in the country. National propaganda, right? Always this issue. So that is why I think in the YouTube video I had used this Rahat Indori's, though I have no affiliation to Rahat Indori or his point of view, but yes, he was a very good poet and shair. Beyond that, his political views, I don't ascribe to it. So let me be very clear on this. It's very important. Anyway, so Rahat Indori very rightfully said that when it comes to elections, he had this share that सरहदों पर बहुत तनाव है क्या? At the borders, is it like really tough time right now? कुछ पता करो, चुनाव है क्या? Basically, the border issues suddenly flare up because definitely there is some election somewhere in the country. The border issues will flare up suddenly. Why? Elections around the corner. That is why सरहदों पर बहुत तनाव है क्या? कुछ पता करो, चुनाव है क्या? Right? And the idea being that we always are told during elections how different we are. Oh, you are a Hindu, Muslims, your aspiration is different. Oh, you're a Muslim, Hindu, different people. Christian, different ideology. We are constantly being reminded of how different we are. How different a Dalit is from a Brahmin, how different Sunni is from a Shia. Constant reminder. Maybe in our day to day life, we have no interest. I mean, how many of you start fighting with your friends or don't make friends because they are of a caste or religion? I don't think so. Now, it is not just you who are informed people. In general, also, look at your own parents. Maybe they perpetuate caste in your own house, but look at their friends group. There they have no problem, right? But if you constantly keep on reminding me about my caste identity, about my religious identity, then I will start feeling that maybe my aspirations are different. Maybe my expectation is different. So this constant reminder that the parties do, constantly reminding you how different you are, this is a very serious problem. See, our society is already deeply entrenched in caste divide, religion divide, etc. Right? And you keep on further poking it. Let the sleeping dogs lie, is what we say. But in our country, our politicians will not stop. And they know very well their reality. Look at this. These are arguments given by politicians only. Let's see, elections are times to perpetuate caste and religion. And how shameless of you that you're openly saying that if elections come, we'll do it. But don't do it. If elections come, why can you not play on the ground of development? Why do you have to attack caste only, religion only? And now you are shamelessly saying that, see, elections are there, this is bound to happen. So it's better to have only one election every 5 years. Uh, Let me tell you, a better solution is what? No election. Simple. Then don't have elections only. These are all arguments given by largely one party. Why to name any party uselessly? Uh, but what exactly is the concern here? Why would we even raise this concern? See, before the problems, I'll tell you something. There's something called coat tail effect. Coat tail. COAT coat, TAIL tail. Effect. The idea being that a strong leader attracts votes. Some estimates say that in 2019 also, almost 30 plus percent, 32% voters voted for BJP due to Narendra Modi. See, whether you hate him or like him, that is your personal view, but he has an immense fan following in the country. That is true. Okay. Whether his personal bias is there against a community or not, we don't know. Right. Whether he's a good administrator or not, that can only be told through facts after a long term and in depth analysis. But he's a popular person. Now, when you have a very popular leader, this coattail effect is that people start voting if Narendra Modi is there. That is why the opposition is constantly facing this problem. They always try to fight Narendra Modi versus. If you play this game, you lose. It was just like Indira Gandhi versus. She was too popular to have a leader matched against her. Same goes for Narendra Modi. He's too popular to for you to have a leader against him. No one will be a match to him in the entire country. That's a concern for the opposition. And this is also there, this coattail effect that happens, which the ruling party wants to happen. Second thing, same party getting vote. See, if I go and I have to cast my vote in the Lok Sabha election to choose my MP and to choose my MLA, if elections are at different points of time, what will I do? I will cast my vote for the Lok Sabha on national issues. Then there may be the PM has to be very strong, right? Maybe the international opinion of India matters to me, etc. But when I am going and casting my vote for the Vidhan Sabha elections, local MLA, etc., I don't worry about the Indian opinion internationally. I worry about smaller issues, right? What is going to be the excise rate, right? How is the state government going to help the municipalities in increasing more funds? Is the state government interested in devolving power to panchayats, etc.? Those are the local issues that I am dealing with. So my voting pattern changes. But see, from 1989 to 2014, whenever we have seen elections happening at the same time for central and any state, you will find that same party won the election 24 out of 31 times. Because then the local issues and the national issues get merged completely. People may not be able to segregate the national importance and the local importance. And it is more likely that the party which controls the center will be able to get the votes at the state level also, right? Because ultimately, nationalism is a very important and a binding force. It is. Thankfully for us, it is still there as a binding force, right? So the idea being that, and the allegation is that it takes all the fights to one battlefield. So currently, the problem with, say, BJP or a Congress is what? BJP takes part in elections in Tripura also, Rajasthan also, Gujarat also, Karnataka also, Tamil Nadu also, Bihar also. But take a party like DMK. Now, DMK has no interest in Bihar politics. DMK will not go and take part in Nagaland politics. Its politics is limited to Tamil Nadu only. All its resources are poured in one state. But because of frequent elections, BJP's large resources are getting spread, scattered into various elections. Every 3 months, BJP has to take out some money. Oh, now election in Sikkim, money to Sikkim. Elections in Rajasthan, Rajasthan. DMK waits twice. One for Vidhan Sabha, all the money in Tamil Nadu. Lok Sabha, all the money in Tamil Nadu. BJD waits. Lok Sabha, all the money in Odisha. Vidhan Sabha, all the money in Odisha. National parties get their resources scattered. Now, if you compare the resources of BJP or any other party, BJP wins hands down in the money they have. But because the money gets scattered all across for the entire 5 years in various parts of the country, what they want is to bring all the resources at one go. Then smaller parties will be of no match to a large party like, say, BJP or Congress, right? That is why their idea is take all the fights to one battlefield where I have so much of resource that you simply cannot stand up to me. As of now, my resources are getting scattered and getting wasted every year. I have to convince people in Nagaland right now, people in Rajasthan right now, people in Kerala right now. But if I have to convince them only once, I'll put in everything that I have. And now smaller parties, come on, let's see whether you can match my resources or not. That's the idea. So this one nation, one election concept, apart from this, also has some very genuine concerns. For example, one concern is how to do it, the operational feasibility, the doability. As of now, there are multiple states which just got recently elected, the Vidhan Sabha. What will you do? Will you end their tenure? Then there are some states which will not finish their tenure in 2024. They'll finish the tenure in 2025, 26, 27. What will you do? Will you extend their tenure? So either you will extend their tenure or you will cut short their tenure. How? By amending the constitution. Is there a provision like this to remove an elected government which enjoys a confidence on the floor of the house? How will you remove this government? Tell me. How will you remove this government which enjoys majority in the assembly? That is going to be unconstitutional, right? So how to do it is the first concern. The only thing is what now? President's rule. Jen answer, CM can tell the governor, but why will the CM tell the governor? Imagine 2019 or 2020, or say 2022, last year, elections were there in some states. A lot of money was spent by these parties to win the election. Now you tell the party, dissolve, fresh elections. Where will they get funds from? Every party has a mandate to rule for 5 years. Why should they tell the governor? Why? That's the point. Why will they? Maybe a BJP CM can. Why will the Congress CM do it? Are you able to understand? It can be done, but why will somebody do it? Why will you yourself cut short your tenure? So it may require a constitutional modification, adding some provision. And not just that, half the state's approval is required. Then, one big issue, can you actually maintain this for long? Can you maintain forever the simultaneous elections? It is not possible. At some point of time, in some state, there is bound to be no party getting majority. Then what do? You'll have to go for elections there. Yes or no? It will happen. So either you go the panchayat way, that the new Lok Sabha will only continue for, or the new Vidhan Sabha will continue for the remainder period. Then no party will be interested only in spending so much money to get into power for 2 years or 1 year. Problem. Second, you will have to have a president's rule there. Meaning if no party gets a majority, center rules that part. Then where is federalism? Also, coalitions. Now you have to force a coalition. Why? Because we want a 5-year long government. Please join hands, form a government somehow. We don't care. Form it. And this is still okay for states. What about center? What if no party comes to power at center on its own? Right now, BJP is sitting on a winning bandwagon, so they are winning the elections. But you know very well, I showed the diagram in the chapter Parliament in 1984 Congress, 415 seats. Right? Now look at Congress. We know very well these are cycles. After a few years, BJP will lose elections, right? And Congress or other party will come to power. They will also lose elections. Somebody else will come to power. This is going to happen. At any point or at some point of time, whatever the central level only, there is no party which forms a government. Then what to do? Election will happen. So you cannot strictly maintain this forever. It can happen for 10, 15 years, not forever. That's not possible. Now, one or two arguments. One argument is the accountability factor. That whenever you have frequent elections, the government has to always perform. You have to show for it that what you have come to seek votes. What are you doing at the center level? We are noticing what you're doing. Useless fellows. That's what people can tell you. So you have to constantly perform forever, consistently for 5 years. Why? Because when you go and seek votes, people will view your performance at the central level and will also take the same to extrapolate it at the state level, right? So whoever rules the center, or the largely the central parties, the national parties, they have to always be on their toes, always keep on performing. Consistent accountability. Election once every 5 years. Do the thing for 4 years. In the fifth year, some big ticket reforms, etc. Before the elections, come to people, give them whiskey, give them biryani, give them cash, get the votes, come back to power. That's a problem. And former Chief Election Commissioner S.Y. Qureshi, he made a statement that जब जब चुनाव आता है, गरीब के घर पुलाव आता है. But I mean, of course, he has the experience of it. He has been an election commissioner. So yes, that was a fun-filled statement that whenever there are elections, the poor gets to eat biryani, because elections means bribing the voter time. And frequent elections create jobs also at the ground level, right? Jobs for poster printing, pamphlet printing, cars, buses, all such things. Jobs at whatever level are jobs only. So that should also be an argument in favor of having frequent elections, though not a very strong argument, but still. So these are some of the problems. Tell me, how many of you feel that we should have one nation, one election? Poll. A for yes, B for no. Oh, 50-50. Now, those who said yes, what is your logic now? Tell me. I just really want to know, what is your argument? Those who say no, we know. You don't want to change. What is happening is happening. Let it be. Tell me. Those who want these elections to take place, why? Today we don't have much contribution. Silence. Not a single response. Oh, Sendil, expenses are very high to conduct separate elections. Okay. What else? So money is a concern, at least for some. We can focus on development rather than election every year. In long term, it will be beneficial. Frequent elections code of conduct. The code of conduct is not there everywhere in the country, but still, okay. Fair enough. So let's see. Let's say that frequent elections are causing wastage of money. How to go about it? Possibilities. See, firstly, don't force it. Let's have a consensus. That's important. And number two, make it more gradual. If at all you want, what we can do, step one, club all elections in a year together. Can this be done? So, for example, we had in say 2023 only, we had the election for The Gujarat was in 2022. So Meghalaya, Nagaland, Tripura, Karnataka, we'll have Chhattisgarh, MP, Rajasthan, Telangana, Mizoram in different times of the year. Why don't we club all of them together? That maybe in May, June, July, whatever time, elections for all these states together. So in every year, once election. That's step one. Moving on, second stage can be that now what we can do is we can have the Vidhan Sabha elections every 2.5 years, meaning not 2.5 years, the tenure is 5 years only, but the assembly elections 2.5 years, and then the Lok Sabha after 2.5 years, meaning 2024 or say 2029 Lok Sabha, 2031 Assembly, 2034 Lok Sabha, 2036 all the assemblies. Every 2.5 years we can have elections. So every 2.5 years this can be done. And beyond that, if further things seem okay, finally we can also have one nation, one election. This can run through stages, but it will take some years. It cannot happen overnight. In fact, you know, rather than doing all these things, a more appropriate way would be to strengthen the other problems: voter awareness, enforcing RPA 51, controlling spending of political parties, issue of electoral bonds, strengthening the anti-defection law. These are more important issues. But the real issues, nobody is interested in solving. And that is how we are being geared into thinking also. I mean, did you see the ADL, anti-defection law? Are those issues not solvable? Tell me. Except say whip gagging. Ignore whip gagging. Can we not solve the issues under ADL by simple modifications? We all know it. Some of you mentioned it. That, sir, why can't we do it? The ones in power, no, they are not. That's why you say this is all a sham. If you are truly interested in ensuring that there is complete cleansing of the political system in the country, you would go for those kind of measures. But sadly, your lips are sealed there. Everything else is being done. It's like a UPC aspirant. Except for revising, he is watching motivational videos, attending various seminars, purchasing every possible book, downloading all the notes, right? But will not study. That's the exact same thing. So anyway, but still we have a possibility that this can be done, but on a gradual basis, steadily, not immediately. If anybody wants it, this can be a possible way forward. Are we clear on this? So this is there with respect to one nation, one election. I hope now it is understood by you. You have the points also. Though a question was asked in the examination, you can attempt this answer now. And I hope, guys, you are writing answers. Please write answers. Coming back to our point at hand, writing answers is ultimately important. So please take an attempt, write answer for this question. We are done with the elections and the electoral issues. In case you want to read Lakshmikant, chapter 42, 71, 72, then 73 also, and 74. Are you clear, everybody? That's it. We are done. Let us now finally move to the very first part of our constitution, part 1. So, normally in other classes, you would have been discussing this initially, but now we are done with LEJ and elections. All basic funda is clear now. So, now it's a smooth sailing for us. We'll see all these provisions one by one. Question will slide for 2 minutes. 2 minutes is too much. 30 seconds. Sia Janki, am I audible now? Okay, let's begin now our discussion with the very first part, part 1. Union and its territory. This is part 1. This is part 1, articles 1 to 4, which deal with the union and its territories. Okay, so before we begin any discussion on this, you should have the basic understanding that British India was categorized into princely states and also governors provinces. Now, princely states, we had around 562, 581, whatever number you want to mention. And we had 17 such governors provinces, 17 of them. 11 became part of India: Bombay, Bihar, Madras, etc. 3 part of Pakistan fully, that is Sindh, Balochistan, and Northwest Frontier Province. And 3 were partitioned: Punjab, Bengal, and Assam. Anyway, we'll come to this point later on because this is important. But before that, let's look at firstly the constitutional provisions pertaining to part 1. And a point which has been under a lot of discussion recently is this point. Yes or no? India, that is Bharat. So there's a lot of debate going on in the Constituent Assembly also on whether you should call it India, call it Bharat, Bharat Varsh, Hindustan, whatever. And largely not to see Bharat Varsh, Bharat Varsh or Bharat was used because of the sense of respect for the cultural ethos and also because of its original idea of Bharatvarsh. India, a more recent name, and also since it was more uh, neutral as a name rather than a name in one particular language, it was a more neutral name. Hence, it was kept as a name. But India is called India as well as Bharat. It's exactly the same, can be used interchangeably without any problem, right? It does not specify that India is a more important word or Bharat. India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. A simple reading of the statement can tell us that you can use India and Bharat interchangeably. We have constantly been using, all the armed forces personnel, the police personnel greet each other with Jai Hind. That's not a concern for us. Jai Bharat, not a concern for us, right? So India is used. If you look at the Hindi translation, which came a few years later on, there Bharat was used earlier, before India. So this is a nonsensical problem, firstly, an issue. Now, if at all, just to point this out, if at all anybody wants to make any kind of change, you can simply make a change in Article 1. Now, if the change relates to the stopping the use of India, that means eliminating the word India only from here, now that could have some kind of ramification at various places, meaning that could have a ramification in all the treaties we have signed, all the things that we have with India, right? But if the idea is to now use Bharat instead of India from future, popularly, the idea is to popularize Bharat, then a simple proviso can be added that India will be deemed to be reference to Bharat in all places in the constitution henceforth. Simple. There is no need to make any other modification. Just write a statement in Article 1 only that from this point onwards, any reference to India would mean what? Reference to Bharat. That's it. We don't really see what is a hue and cry here, even for the opposition and the ruling party also. Reference to India shall be deemed to be reference to Bharat. Reference to India reference to Bharat. If at all needed, this can serve the purpose. Simple. What is the big hue and cry here? And normally, the very funny thing that people quote is that our constitution starts with a confusion. India, that is Bharat, confused nation. Other countries also have multiple names, right? One name used inside the country in their own language, and other name for the outside world. What is so unique here? So we don't see any such issue. This is a nonsensical issue being raised by our politicians and some of our intellectual class trying to put in their point of view. This cannot be allowed. This is causing too much trouble. No, it can be done and without any difficulty. But sadly, people with no legal knowledge are the ones who are jumping and writing huge articles, right? Anyway, I think everybody here understands now. The point or the problem that you may face is the use of Bharat across the nation, which can seem like the imposition of more or the linguistic orientation of the central government towards Hindi. Now that can be seen. This is something that this action can be attributed to. That is possible because the country is too diverse and we're all comfortable on the common ground of English right now. Hindi has not been seen as a common ground. Though sadly, I would also blame the local regional parties in various states. Why to name any party? Because, and that's a problem. When I will not be able to perform, I'll raise all these issues in my state. Simple. So if any party fails to actually live up to the expectation on the grounds of development, there is all these issues only. Oh, language problem, this problem, that problem. If they perform, they will prove on the level of performance that see, I am performing, no problem. But anyway, if at any point of time any group feels that no, why should I use the Hindi version of anything, that's also their choice. So, India being a more neutral term would be slightly better considering the extreme diversity in the country. That's a very important element. But nevertheless, this does not mean that just using Bharat would take away your cultural pride. Just because, say, somebody from Kerala uses the word Bharat does not mean he disrespects his own language. Not at all. or some Bengal uses Bharat. I don't see it as a disrespect. But again, this is a largely political issue which should, you know, be avoided by us at all costs in terms of any kind of argument on this. Now, coming back to our discussion of part one. So, name and territory of the Union, India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. Union of states, a very, very important word here. Union of states. What's the importance of this word union? The importance is that no state has the right to secede, break away from India. Break away from India. That's not possible. That's not happening. You can dream of having your own nation, but sorry, those dreams will never be fulfilled, because India is a union of states. India is not some result of independent countries coming together. That is why when one member of the Constituent Assembly gave a suggestion that why don't we call it United States of India, it was immediately rejected. That no, India is not like that. We always had the larger, grander concept of a Bharatvarsh, right? So India is not a result of a contract between independent countries coming together to forming a grand nation of United States of India. So that's not possible. You cannot move out of the country. This marriage has no divorce. It's done forever and ever and ever. This is the importance of the word union. Now, the states and the territory, their boundary, shall be as specified in the first schedule. When I say India is a union of states, which states? What are their names? What is their boundary? Tell me. So, the states and their boundary, if you want to know their names and the boundary, you please refer to which schedule? You kindly refer to first schedule. Okay. So, this is with respect to the second provision. So, as far as the name and the territory of the union is concerned, the states and the territories thereof shall be as specified in the first schedule. First schedule, schedule 1, contains the names of all the states, mind you, all the states and all the UTs as well, along with their territories, their boundaries. This is what is mentioned in the first schedule. Time has come now for a quick recap on these schedules. So please, recap time, revision time. Second schedule, state wherever you are or type the answer. Salary. Okay, great. Third schedule, oath and affirmation. Fourth schedule, number of seats. Number of seats allocated to what? Rajya Sabha. Okay. Seventh schedule, list. The three lists, union, state, concurrent. 10th schedule, anti-defection law. Pooja, it is distribution, not separation of powers. 11th schedule, what is that? 29 topics on which panchayats can be allowed to make laws. And 12th schedule, what is that? 18 topics on which the municipalities will be allowed to make laws. Now we have the first schedule also, which is the names of all the states and the union territories. Are we clear? That's also mentioned here. Now, the territory of India shall comprise. When I say the territory of India, my reference would be what? The boundaries of all the states, the boundaries of all the UTs mentioned in the first schedule, and also such other areas that the country can acquire in future. So it also includes any future acquisition. Okay, it also includes any future acquisition. This means if you compare Union of India as a phrase, it means only states. But if you find a word mentioned territory of India, territory of India refers to, of course, the states plus UTs, and not just this, plus also any future acquisition. This is what is a reference to territory and the union. So territory is a bigger word, it has a wider connotation. Union is a word which refers to a relatively smaller area. Clear? Now, as we said, India shall be a union of states. Very, very important that our country is an indestructible union. Why? Because Article 1 says that the boundary of the states, the states cannot leave the country. You can never destroy the boundary of the country. Indestructible union. Sorry, no scope here. Okay. This is Article 1. Article 2 is a very simple article, nothing much to understand in Article 2. Article 2 simply says that Parliament may, by law, admit into the union or establish new states on such terms and conditions as it thinks fit. That's it. So now the important point is Article 3. Extremely important is this article because this is the article which provides for the internal reorganization in the country. How is the country reorganized? Now, let's read together. Formation of new states and alteration, changing the area, boundary, or names of existing states. Parliament may do it by law. Firstly, who can do it? Parliament. Can do what? Can form a new state by separation of territory from any other state, or by uniting two or more states, or parts of state, or by uniting any territory. Any kind of permutation combination is possible. Number one. You can increase the area of the state. You can diminish the area of the state. You can alter the boundary of the state. You can also alter the name of the state. For all these things, what is required? By law. What is by law? Do you remember? What kind of majority are we referring to here? Of course, simple majority. Yes or no? Simple majority is required to modify the boundaries of the states, even change their name. Now, what is the procedure to be followed? Procedure. So, when you bring such a bill, what kind of bill will that be? It will be name of the state, reorganization bill, and you have the year. So this is the format in which those bills are brought. For example, if you want to say Andhra Pradesh, so Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Bill 2014. Simple. Once passed, it becomes Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act 2014. Such bill will be introduced on the recommendation of the president. Okay, no problem. President's recommendation is required. Then, once this bill is brought, it is also sent to the Legislative Assembly of the state. The bill is sent to the Legislative Assembly of the state to give opinion, which is what? Not binding. Meaning, today I can create a bill, central government can bring a bill, which is the bill is, say, West Bengal reorganization bill. I'll send the bill copy to West Bengal. What do you think? Should we bifurcate the state into 4 parts? The CM says, how dare you? No, I am saying don't dare to. Center says, I don't care. By law, done, bifurcated. The opinion of the state is not binding. Now tell me something. We all keep on uh, talking about federalism, states, very important, equality of powers. The state's survival as a state, as a full-fledged state, depends on center. Yes or no? Where is federalism? That is why our constitution has a very centralizing tendency. Your survival also depends on the center, right? Now, since we have this concept, indestructible union, let's add to it of destructible states, because Article 3 says that in our country the state's boundaries can be destroyed at any point of time, and states have no say also in that. Are we clear? Now, why do we say this is because in some country like say USA, if you go to say USA or you go to say Australia, you will find that it is not possible to bifurcate the state's boundary without the consent of states. Look at the US Constitution. It is mentioned there, Article 4, Section 3, Clause 1, that states' consent is required to change their name, alter their boundary. You go to Australia, their Section 124 of their Constitution very clearly says that states' consent is required to bifurcate or to modify their boundary. In India, sorry, nobody seeks your consent. Clear? Of course, this procedure will not be applicable to union territories, because for UTs, the center need not get their approval, etc. It's my own territory. I can change your name, boundary, etc. at any point of time. I don't care. I don't need to seek your permission for that. Simple. Clear, everybody? Any doubts? So this is with respect to the, so if a state say change my name, see, the state says change my name, it ultimately depends on center. You can keep on crying. So I will not want to name any state, but recently a state passed a resolution requesting the center to change their name. You pass any resolution you want. Who is bothered? Nobody cares. No change will be made in any place without center's approval. Simple. But yes, if you request and the center says yes, It can be done. But simply because I have passed a resolution in my assembly will not have any change in the constitution. I think it's a non-issue. Any informed student of constitution would know that the state governments have no say in changing the constitution, right? So let these debates be only for political circles. It is got no effect on the constitutional provisions. But yes, if a state wants to, of course it can. Gaurav, sir, if the name is changed by the parliament, then how? Oh, Acha, you have named the state only. So I explained, Gaurav, I think now that recently, so others also, so for everyone now, that when it comes to Kerala, this happened recently that the Kerala Assembly passed a resolution that they want to use the word Keralam in all places, including Schedule 8 and all. I mean, it's okay. You have a right to pass a resolution. So, passing a resolution is showcasing your opinion. It does not mean things can be changed anywhere. Are we clear? Everybody. Gaurav, is that clear for you? You had raised this concern. Uh, Dinesh, that was done by the government, center, parliament, not by the state. Without state's approval, without center's approval, nothing can be done. Uh, Niranjan, I could not find the word indestructible union. No, no. Indestructible union is not mentioned as a word. The source is Article 1. We say that India is an indestructible union of destructible states. This is the source. How can you say that India is indestructible union? Because of Article 1. How can you say that India has destructible states? Because of Article 3. These are the sources. It is self assumed. Clear? Who was that? Niranjan. I hope the point is okay. So this is there. Somebody else had a question, Ravi. So procedure not applicable to UT. Yes, yes. This procedure is not applicable. Like you don't need to send the bill to the UT because center is controlling UT. That's the inherent logic here. Okay. So this is how we can change the name of our great and amazing states. Now, one more thing. Supreme Court has said on multiple occasions, including the recent Mullah Pariyar EPF case also, that Parliament's power to reorganize the country internally is an exclusive power and it is a plenary power, unconditional power. States have no say on it. Let me just clarify this point here and write it. Very important. Reorganize, that is internally, is exclusive power. What is exclusive? It is shared with nobody else. And plenary. What is plenary? English word. Unconditional. No conditions can be imposed on the parliament. They are the ones who decide how these changes will be made. Are you clear? So very, very important that states have no say. Let them do their drama. It does not matter. Now, there is a small concern here. If the parliament has the power to internally reorganize the country, can the parliament also give up a small part of the country to, say, Pakistan, to Bangladesh, to Sri Lanka, to China? Is it possible? So that's the question. Is it possible for the parliament to give up a small part of our country to some other country? And if yes, how? If no, then what is the procedure? So, yes, it is possible. because we have done it in the past. How we have done it and how can it be done, we'll discuss after the break. Let's take a lunch break. Be back at 3:40 or say 3:45. Enjoy the break. And we'll come back and we'll see this Berubari Union. I'll tell you that if any boundary disputes have to be settled, then it can be done through a constitutional amendment only. Clear? So let's take a break. Be back at 3:45, guys. Have your lunch, tea, coffee, and let's meet after the break. Parshuram, no, that is done by the state government. TS, if a small change is done like this Lok Sabha election. TS, but again, if you are going to hold elections for all the assemblies in 2025, then you have to make certain kind of modifications that all the states where elections were held recently, you have to cut short their tenure, and all the states which elections are due in 24-23, you have to increase their tenure. So all these would again be a challenge. So immediately doing it will definitely have some concerns, but maybe after 5-10 years with proper and slow and steady changes, then maybe there won't be much anger also or concerns also. Okay, break please, guys.